Welcome to True Bedtime Mysteries. If you find comfort in calmly told stories of real-life disappearances, chilling coincidences, and lingering mysteries, then you're in the right place. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell so you never miss a new story. Tonight we're telling the haunting and perplexing story of Laureen Ann Rahn, a vibrant teenage girl who vanished without a trace from her Manchester, New Hampshire apartment in the middle of the night in 1980. No signs of a struggle. No witnesses. Only a handful of chilling details and a series of mysterious phone calls that would stretch on for years. This is the disappearance of Laureen Rahn, a case that begins with a quiet night and ends in silence. Laureen Rahn was just 14 years old when she disappeared. She lived with her mother, Judith Rahn, in a third-floor apartment on Merrimack Street, a modest red brick building not far from downtown Manchester. Laureen was bright, outgoing, and ambitious. She had dreams of becoming a singer or actress. She liked pop music, loved to laugh, and was considered mature for her age. But in the months leading up to her disappearance, Judith began noticing changes in her daughter. Laureen had started experimenting with alcohol. Her grades were slipping. She had recently dyed her naturally blonde hair darker. Still, she was a typical teen, nothing to suggest what was about to happen. It was the evening of Saturday, April 26, 1980. Judith had plans to go out of town with her boyfriend to watch a tennis tournament and had arranged to spend the night away. Laureen asked to stay home alone, something Judith reluctantly agreed to, trusting that her daughter would be safe and responsible. After her mother left that evening, Laureen invited two friends over to the apartment, a male friend whose name has never been publicly released, and a female friend later identified only as Hope. The three teenagers spent the evening hanging out in the apartment, drinking a little, a six-pack of beer and a bottle of wine, and listening to music. At around 12:30 a.m, the mood shifted. The teens reportedly heard voices coming from the hallway outside the apartment. Laureen and the male friend were in the living room when this happened. Fearing it might be Judith returning unexpectedly, the male friend panicked. He didn't want to get caught drinking, so he left quickly through the back door of the apartment. According to him, Laureen locked the door behind him. Her female friend stayed. Laureen told her she was going to sleep on the couch and took a pillow and a blanket from the bedroom. Her friend climbed into Laureen's bed and the apartment went quiet. At this point, it was approximately 12:45 a.m. EP. Roughly 30 minutes later, around 1:15 a.m, Judith and her boyfriend returned home. As they entered the building, they noticed something unusual. All of the light bulbs in the hallway had been unscrewed. The corridor was pitch black. Judith immediately felt something was off. She walked carefully up the stairs to her apartment, unlocked the front door, and stepped inside. The front door was unlocked. Even stranger, the back door was slightly open. Inside the apartment, Judith peeked into her daughter's room and saw a person sleeping in the bed. Assuming it was Laureen, she didn't check further and went to bed herself. What happened next would leave Judith haunted for the rest of her life. At around 3:45 a.m, Judith woke up. Something was bothering her, a feeling she couldn't quite shake. She got up and walked into her daughter's room, just to check. And that's when she realised the person in the bed wasn't Laureen, it was her friend. Laureen was gone. Judith searched the apartment in a panic. The couch was empty. Laureen's shoes, a new pair of sneakers she'd been excited to wear, were sitting neatly near the couch. Her purse was untouched. Her makeup was still there. Nothing appeared out of place. And yet her daughter was gone. Judith ran downstairs and searched the street. She called family, knocked on neighbours' doors, but no one had seen or heard anything. Eventually, at 3:45 a.m, she flagged down a passing police cruiser and filed a missing persons report. At first, police considered the possibility that Laureen had run away. She was a teenager. There had been some drinking. Maybe she got scared. Maybe she left on her own. But Judith didn't believe it, and there were good reasons to be suspicious. First, Laureen had left behind everything: her shoes, her purse, even her house key. Second, she locked the back door after her friend left. Yet when Judith arrived, it was ajar. And third, the hallway lights had been deliberately unscrewed. Someone had gone out of their way to ensure the corridor was dark. That one detail still chills people to this day. Over the next few weeks, the search for Laureen intensified. Flyers were distributed. Friends and family were questioned. Neighbours were interviewed. But there were no clues, no sightings, no leads. It was as though Laureen had simply evaporated. Then, 6 months later, things got even stranger. Judith received a phone bill. It listed 3 long-distance calls, made from motels in California. 2 of the calls came from motels in Santa Monica. The third came from Santa Ana. Judith had never been to California, and Laureen had no known connections there. One of the calls had been placed to a teen sexual assistance hotline. When police followed up, the woman who ran the hotline said she remembered speaking with a girl who called herself Laurie. The girl sounded young, frightened. She never gave a last name. The woman couldn't say for sure whether it had been Laureen, but the timing and details were deeply unsettling. But it didn't stop there. Not long after the California calls, Judith began receiving silent phone calls. The phone would ring, often in the early hours of the morning, and when she answered, there was nothing but silence. The calls always came around 3:45 a.m, the same time she had first reported her daughter missing. These silent calls continued for years, and every holiday, especially Christmas, they increased. Judith became convinced that it was Laureen, that her daughter was still alive, and trying to reach out, but there was no way to trace the calls, and no one on the other end ever spoke. In the years that followed, police explored every theory they could. Some believed Laureen had been abducted, possibly by someone waiting in the hallway. Someone who unscrewed the bulbs. Someone who watched the apartment. Someone who struck when Laureen was alone. Others believed Laureen had become involved, voluntarily or not, in a child trafficking ring. The calls from California, the link to motels, the silence, it all seemed to point in a dark, disturbing direction. There were even unconfirmed sightings. One family member claimed to see Laureen at a Boston bus station a year later. Another tip placed her in Anchorage, Alaska, working in the sex trade. But none of these leads ever panned out. As the years passed, new names entered the investigation. One was Terry Peder Rasmussen, later known as the Chameleon Killer. He had lived in New Hampshire under an alias at the time Laureen vanished. He was eventually linked to several murders and the Bear Brook case, but no direct connection to Laureen was ever established. To this day, her disappearance remains one of New England's most chilling cold cases. More than 4 decades have passed. Judith eventually moved away from New Hampshire, but she never stopped hoping for answers. She kept Laureen's case open, her memory alive, and her phone on, just in case. Laureen would be 58 years old today, and someone, somewhere, may still know what happened that night. If you have any information, no matter how small, please contact the Manchester Police Department. Even the faintest detail could be the missing piece that brings Laureen home. thank you for joining us tonight on True Bedtime Mysteries. If you found this story compelling, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell to stay up to date with the real mysteries we explore every week. Until next time, sleep peacefully.